Join us for Seahawk Talk on Thursday, May 14 with special guests Dan Kehoe, Andy Bender, Liv Noonan, Madison Lee, Chelsea Francis, and John Ingalls. That's 3 to 4 p.m. See you then. Seahawk Talk on Thursday, May 14. I'm Ed Habershaw, bringing you some guests today. Football, volleyball, equestrian, and sailing. We'll go into the mini Wayback Machine to chat with football. Let's show you the guest list right here on the screen. We have Dan Kehoe from the class of 2013. He's not just football, folks, baseball as well. And then we have Andy Bender, Liv Noonan, Madison Lee, Chelsea Francis, and John Ingalls to wrap out today's show, Thursday, May 14. Before we go to our first guest, who is in queue, appreciate his timeliness, we want to show you a video that's out on YouTube that can kind of give you a synopsis of where he's been, and perhaps we'll have to catch up with what he's doing now.
Hi, I'm Dan Kehoe. I am a 2013 graduate of Salve. I played football and baseball here. I was a captain in both sports my senior year. After my senior year of football, I transitioned into baseball season, and it was hard for me to make the decision, do I want to keep playing football or am I going to play baseball? And then once I was voted, captain of the baseball team, I said, all right, I'm going to stick with baseball. I'm still going to train for football stuff, and then we'll just see how it goes. So that summer, I kind of was like, can I do this? That was the big thing. And I got invited to a Scout Bowl, which was a D1 AA All-Star game, and I played for the North Side. And these were kids that come from those farm system leagues that are, going to the NFL. And I played very well in that game, and that was kind of like an eye-opener for me that, I can play at this level. So I kept training, and I kept getting bigger, kept getting stronger, faster. I played for Team America in a scout game this past December with ex-NFL players, kids trying to get back into the league, kids who are from those D1 programs, and I played well in that. And then an opportunity came up, and I got to go to the NFL Regional Combine in New York at the Jets indoor training facility, which was extremely exciting. I walk in and I'm looking at, inside this building, and I just see guys with clipboards, cameras, lights, and like all these cones, lasers set up, and just all these kids that, make me look average size. And just to see that, it was a little overwhelming. I did very well, and a week later they called me, said, hey, you did a great job. We want you to come to the NFL Super Regional with all 32 NFL teams to evaluate you and scout you in Detroit, April 12th. Division III football doesn't really get too much respect, because especially in Rhode Island. But, if you just take a look at this program, you can see that this is just filled with talent. And, to be someone that's local from a D3 school who's possibly going to the next level is just, really exciting for the community right now. And I've gotten a lot of support, and I'm very thankful for all that. The ideal situation is I go to this combine on April 12th, Hopefully more than one of the 32 teams, says, hey, we like you, we want you. If there's just one team, I promise you, I'm going to be with that one team. So that's the ultimate goal, is get to the NFL.
I'm dying.
Say I don't get that phone call, I leave this experience a better person. I know it sounds corny, but it's completely true. I've learned, when hard work meets opportunity, you got to take advantage of that opportunity, and that anything is really possible. I know I said that's corny, but anything is possible. You have a dream, you got to work for it, and you got to get there. And that's, where I think right now I stand above the rest, is that I want it more than everybody else. And I think that's something that's established from this school. It's exciting. The thing is, try to keep a level head, don't look at anything, but, keep those blinders on, like I said, look at the finish goal, and, do everything that it takes to get there right now.
So that's Dan Kew from 2014. He's the class of 2013. His final season on the gridiron for the Seahawks was 2012 with Coach Chesney. We welcome Dan Kew into the show live here in 2020. Hello, Dan. How are you?
Hello, Ed. I'm great. How are you?
Very good. Where are you coming from these days?
I am now in New Boston, New Hampshire. Just moved here in March, actually, right before all this crazy virus stuff.
And you've got some big packages on the way.
Yes, yeah. We have, my wife and I have a baby due in 6 days. So at this point, any minute, I'm just kind of counting down the seconds here.
Well, congratulations to you and your wife. That's awesome news. Nice job relocating. What are you doing professionally?
I work for a company called OneSpan, formerly known as Basco. I actually got the job right after finishing my master's at Salve. Funny enough, it's a cybersecurity company that I've brought a couple former athletes from Salve to. So we had Joe Haley was with us for a while, baseball guy. Kevin Lambert's still with us from baseball. Ryan Kelly is still working at OneSpan. We had Frank Musco, football player, for a little bit. So, just kind of the network of Salve family.
That network has started, or probably started beforehand, but it continues each February, March at Occoquan, when you've come back several times for Seahawk to Seahawk with a mentoring program.
Right. Yeah. I wish they had it when I was there. I fortunately got lucky right out of the gate, and I think that's a great event. And I would say, just from I think it's been 3 years that I've gone, we've already brought in 4 people, so it's a great event.
Well, Dan, you were an outstanding player, offensive lineman for football. You wanted to go professional, so talk about the steps you took to make it there. We saw the 3-minute video where you were working with Tom Blaney and Marcus Calhoun, and you had quite the workout before getting in front of the camera.
Yeah. Oh, well, that particular interview was, I was going on like a 4-day kind of event with, I got signed by Above the Rest agency, an NFL agent, and they had me going from, all over. It was just Rhode Island, but all over for different types of interviews and press. And I think that one was like the last one, and I was very tired. You could see the bags under my eyes there. The process was junior year. I remember working out. I was on one of the squat platforms, and Bob Chesney came in and said, "Hey, your film is pretty good this year, and every year we get some, scouts coming down saying, do you have anybody that we could give a look to?" And he said he threw my name in there. So that was when the first, seed was planted in my head that it could be something. So, going into my senior year, I was debating, do I want to, continue playing baseball or focus everything on football? When I was elected captain, I obviously decided to continue playing baseball as well, but it was a toll on the body, to drop 30 pounds, gain 50 pounds for baseball to football. As you can see, my senior year in baseball, I didn't really drop all 30. Every time I pitched, we wore the green uniforms because they were the ones that fit,
Yeah. And the pitchers have the choice of uniform, correct?
Yeah. But after that, the concern really from my agency was, hey, you're doing a great job against these players and these games, and your film looks great, but it's it's a D3 level talent. What does that mean? Can you perform? So we actually went and I got to play in the D1 North South game down in South Carolina. Max Schubert actually was invited to play to that as well, and that's when I got some film against some D1 players and got some attention, and I got invited to a couple workouts here, and then obviously ultimately the combine. So it was a great process. It was one of the more fun years of my life. Obviously this year is going to be better. Baby being born, but it was such an extraordinary process, and I got to meet so many tremendous athletes and coaches, and it was just something that I learned a lot from, and I use those lessons every day in my work today. So
yeah, and you've worked as an assistant coach under Kevin Gilmartin as well.
Yes.
Talk about the learning process there and what you brought to the table.
Well, I'd like to say I was the most fun coach. No, I'm just kidding. It was a great process there too. I mean, I was doing my master's, and Kevin and I are very good friends. Coach Gill, he was at my wedding. I had probably 30 Salve people at my wedding or so. He and I are very good friends. We still stay in touch, daily. But that was another really fun year. I was coaching the offensive line. I got some input on some run game coordination. Working with him was a lot of fun. That whole group that year was just, some of my best memories. I'd say it was a great group. We bonded well, and we made every single day, fun while working hard, and that's when your best memories come out. So.
And Dan, in the package that we were showing from your interview with Michaela Johnson on CBS Channel 12 local affiliate, you were just flat out flattening people. Is that what you most enjoy about being an offensive lineman?
Oh yeah, that's you don't really have stats. I think the only stat an offensive lineman has is games played. But for someone who doesn't get the touchdowns or the yards or receptions, that's what you took pride in, when you could line up against another man and bring him to the ground and be the dominant one in that situation. That feels good.
Now, you let the cat out of the bag a little bit earlier, not about the baby being born, but about you being a baseball player, because people tuning in and looking here, and they might say, really? Baseball? Offensive lineman? Baseball player? Well, I'm going to flash back to April 4, 2012, and show up on the screen. The headline was, Kehoe, no hits Leopards, ends a Seahawk streak. You threw a no-hitter.
Yeah.
What was that experience like?
That was, probably one of my favorite baseball memories I have. In my freshman year, being a pitcher, I was a closer. I kind of threw from the side a little bit, did a little damage to my arm. I tore my UCL, I tore my labrum in my arm. Never got them repaired really, but my junior year, was when the whole taping process started up, and you can ask Amanda, the trainer there. She used to use about 15 rolls on my arm just to keep it in place. But that was I think it kind of surprised the coaching staff as well, because I had walked someone in the first inning, so that the perfect game kind of goes out of your head, and I think I walked someone in the 7th inning as well, so it didn't really resonate maybe, but coming back to the bench, everyone kind of knew it was, just don't talk to him right now, superstition type thing. But it was a great memory. Dom DeSano was catching. I had, Skip on the bench there, coaching up. So it was a lot of fun, and obviously a great memory.
Yeah, and then lo and behold, Dom DeSano got to go behind the plate for game 2 of that doubleheader, and what happened there was rookie Kyle Phelan was nearly perfect, and I have the different spelling of perfect because of the PH in Phelan's last name. And how amazing was that? He went 6 1/3 innings of near perfect baseball, and it was just a flare bloop single that got over the head of third base to spoil his perfect game. He eventually ended the game with a double play. So he faced the minimum number of batters. But here's the upperclassman in Dan Kehoe showing how it's done, and Kyle Phelan the young students saying, "Thanks, I'll do that"?
Well, first of all, Kyle is if you've ever met him, you know he's a tremendous person. And him coming in as a freshman, I was very excited because he was very, very talented. And I remember watching that game after I threw the no-hitter, feeling really good about myself, getting into the sixth inning because the doubleheaders are 7 innings each. And I'm thinking to myself, he's about to show me up right now. I'm a little bit bittersweet on this. Like, I'm happy for him, but maybe one hit will be all right.
Yeah, you get the record for the no-hitter, and he gets the near-perfect game, but it ends up being a one-hitter. Both of you pitch shutouts, a sweep of a doubleheader over Wentworth. So I want to congratulate you on your outstanding playing career at Salve, coaching career at Salve, and now your soon-to-be dad career.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And it's all good memories, all lifelong friends. So it's been a great ride.
Well, thanks for joining us, and wish you and your wife well with the newborn, hopefully in less than a week.
Yeah, I know it. Thank you. We're looking forward to it.
All right, take care in New Boston, New Hampshire.
All right, thank you.
That's Dan Kiyu from our football and baseball teams joining us on FaceTime. We're going to Zoom with the Seahawk women's volleyball team because they're in many different locations. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Seahawk Talk on Thursday, May 14. I'm Ed Habershaw. Just finished a nice segment with our former football player and football coach and former baseball player Dan Kehoe. He joined us from New Boston, New Hampshire. We're going to go back to New Hampshire for one of our next guests, and then also Connecticut and Florida. Let's visit them now. Hello, Madison, Andy, and Olivia. How are you?
Pretty good.
Members of our women's volleyball team, and just announced last Thursday, I believe, Thursday night, you heard some news that you guys are going to be captains for the 2020 season.
Yep. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How did that come about during the Zoom meeting that you guys had? How was it presented?
He just kind of talked about like the process that we went through to pick captains, and then at the end announced that we were the captains.
So Madison Lee, captain as a junior. Andy Bender. Hello, are you there?
Hello.
I just wanted to hear you speak so that way it would trigger the speaker view, and then I can throw up the graphic in you. You're returning as a captain because you were a captain as a junior as well. So welcome back. And
thank you.
Liv Noonan.
Yep. Hi.
There you are. You are heading into your senior year as well and being named captain. What does that mean to you?
I'm really excited. It's an honor. I love the team. I love the girls. I love volleyball, so it's awesome.
Ladies, it's the ultimate team sport, I think, because there's so much communication that has to go on. Talk about how you guys run your practices and where the communication starts from.
Well, I think the communication starts the second we walk into the gym. So we're always like talking while setting up the net, just kind of getting through everyone's days, what everyone's been doing. And then from there, practice is just constantly talking, whether it's, just, hey, nice swing or whatever, but we're always just talking to each other, trying to keep communication a big part of our practices.
I think trust is also a really big part of communication. And luckily, we're all friends, we hang out off the court and on the court. So that just makes the connection better, makes the flow of communication easier.
Yeah, communication is definitely key.
You have a first-year head coach in Sebastian Nordsee. Andy can speak to this. Was the process of becoming captain similar or different than in your previous years?
Well, in the previous years, it's definitely been done a little differently. So, we would find out during preseason, after our triple sessions that first weekend, we'd come back Monday morning, and that's when Coach Parsons talked to us in person and was like, is this something that you want to do? But obviously, because of quarantine and everything, we can't really do this in person. And so he definitely, meeting him through Zoom meetings, every week, 3 times a week, definitely was helpful to get to know him and him to know us. But yeah, it's definitely a lot different than how it's been done in the past.
Yeah, it sounded like he wanted to get a head start on the fall activity and rather have this taken care of and out of the way before starting in August. I'm going to show some packages on the screen right now. Andy Bender. Where do you get your leadership style from? Who has been a big influence on each of you, Madison, Andy, and Olivia? Where does your leadership come from, and how would you characterize your leadership style?
I think I've been captains for club teams in the past or my high school team. And I think also the fact that I'm a setter means that I'm on the court a lot. I'm trying to touch that ball every single play, really being involved in communicating. So I have to step up and be a leader in that role, captain or not. So.
Same here, captain for club teams and high school teams. And then I'm the oldest sibling, so I think I've always kind of had that leadership role. So it kind of just came naturally when I get on the court.
Yeah, the first Emily has that distinction of being first in everything, right?
Yep.
Andy, how about you? Where does your leadership style come from?
Mine kind of comes from a combination of different coaches I've had throughout the year. I think the biggest thing I've gotten through all of my coaches is how I lead by example. So I'm not the loudest person on the court. I'm definitely not going to go out screaming, but I tend to lead by example. So like I do something and I hope people follow me. And I think I picked that up through a bunch of coaches, like high school, club coaches that I've just kind of gathered throughout the years. And that's how I've become the leader I am.
You've got some massive ups. You're able to elevate in and around the net area. When you see opposing players on the other side who could be much, much taller, is there an intimidation factor there, or are you just okay with what you have on your side of the net?
I'm confident in the girls we have on our team. Height's obviously a good thing in our sport, but I'm confident that our girls can go out there, no matter how tall the person is on our side, and just get the job done. I believe in us 100%.
Yeah, it's all part of the competition.
And also, like, the other team may have a big, huge block, but we have smart girls on our team that we're not going to swing right into the block. Like, we're smart. We can tip or send it deep, so.
Liv, you described yourself as a setter. The sport has specialists, but you also have to be well-rounded. Talk about how you develop your game and to be a contributor in every facet of the game.
I think that I've definitely tried to work on my defensive skills because that's the biggest part. You need to get the ball up first in order to get a set and get a hit. So I think that I've really improved in that area along with setting over my college career so far. Definitely more confident in that. And same with blocking. I wasn't like the biggest blocker in high school. I would just kind of go up, but now I'm like dedicated to get that block. Like I want that block every single time.
How about you and Andy and Madison? Are there parts of your game that you want to bring up to complement your overall ability?
Blocking for me, I was like an outside in high school, and so now I'm a middle, and middle's main job is to block. And so that's something that I definitely want to just keep improving.
In any blocking situation, oftentimes it takes more than one. Talk about the coordination of two of you or more getting elevation at the exact same time to peak to thwart the opposing team's attack.
Definitely timing and communication and just like a lot of reps in practice so you're in sync.
I know last time we talked with the Lees, both the first Emily and the second Emily, we did play Family Feud, which is still here on my desk. Some of the activities that you guys enjoy in practice setting include non-volleyball related activities such as playing knockout with the basketball, not the actual basketball, with the volleyball, but into the basketball hoop. Who is the stronger of the three of you in the game of knockout?
That's Liv.
Yeah,
Liv.
I did pretty good. I came a winner a few times.
Now, when you play it, what are the rules? Are there any rules?
Free for all.
See, that's the best way to play knockout. No rules. Make it live up to its name. It's knockout. So you've got to knock out the opponent's ball or whatever way you can do to prevent them from getting a shot in. You got to knock them out.
It's like our favorite warm-up too because it gets the intensity going. Everyone's feeling aggressive, gets the blood flowing. So it's a good way to start practice.
Well, your group has done a wonderful job staying connected through Zoom. Talk about that process and how you've helped lead it for a first-year head coach.
Well, he was definitely very big on us right off the bat, like starting like weekly team meetings. So like everyone meets, but then he kind of split it down to positions and grades, trying to get us to connect not just with each other, but with him in like the large group, but also in smaller groups so you can kind of see who we are as people. And definitely because it's who we are, we're always talking, we're always sending videos to each other that we think were funny. So we're never not really disconnected. It's just more by using Zoom and everything with him. It was nice to get to know him and him to know us. So definitely helpful.
It was really helpful because he would also pull up like old films from the games and stuff, and we would go for that, or just like using like a drawing board on Zoom and like looking at plays and different types of positions. So that was cool.
It was definitely nice to like not lose, like even though we didn't have spring ball, we still got a lot done, I think, in those meetings. That was really good.
How important is video in terms of helping you learn from your game, both your good points and your not so good points?
Super important, I think. Like to be able to watch yourself and critique yourself and see what you need to do better and what you already are doing pretty well.
It just adds a different perspective because when you're playing, you're kind of in the moment and you can't really see everything that's happening all at once. But when you get to stand back and kind of look and watch a game over, you can see, oh, that's exactly what happened. And then you can be like, oh, I need to be here next time. And it just kind of gives you some time to go back and rewind the game and kind of see what you can work on for next time.
When you're not one of the 6 on the floor, you're one of the many on the sidelines standing up. What do we put chairs out there for?
No idea.
They look nice.
Yeah.
It does look nice. Well, how's the weather in Florida, Connecticut, and New Hampshire today?
It's actually pretty nice here.
Little windy. It's been a little windy.
I'm sweating right now.
Aww. Does anybody feel bad for Madison?
Nope. Look how tan she is.
That's year-round, I believe.
Yeah.
Well, ladies, thank you for joining me on Seahawk Talk today. Can't wait to have the Seahawks back on campus. Are we done academically for your junior and sophomore years, respectively?
Yep.
Congratulations. We now have seniors and juniors.
Thank you.
How does that feel?
Scary.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Time just flew by.
Mm-hmm.
Liv and Andy, there are 2 types of seniors. 1, they can't wait till it's over. 2, they don't want it to end. Which one are you? You 2. All right, we got 2 different ones. Well, Madison, you'll be there in 2022, so we don't want to speed up the process, but thank you for joining us today, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's Madison Lee and Andy Bender and Olivia Noonan, all 3 named captains for the 2020 women's volleyball season coming up with new first-year head coach Sebastian Nordsee. I'm Ed Havishar. We'll be back with Chelsea Francis right after this break.
loves me.
Hello and welcome back to Seahawk Talk. We've got a special guest coming up. I want to get to her quickly because I never know what might happen. So here we go. Chelsea Francis, where are you? What horse are you riding right now?
This is A. You see him?
Oh yeah, thank you so much. Beautiful horse. How are you doing today?
I'm good. It was really nice earlier. Today's a little bit windy.
I can hear that.
We're wrapping up our day here. So Ace is in training right now.
Wow. Well, audio-wise, we're not able to hear you, but we see you in the circle. You look like you're having a good time. We're going to let you go because we want you to pay attention to what you're doing there. But thank you for answering the phone call, and we will talk to you next Thursday. All right. Take care, Chelsea. That's Chelsea Francis. Just wanted to do a quick check-in, and now we'll give you a video tour of Salve Virginia University.
So we haven't started yet, have we?
Welcome back to Seahawk Talk on Thursday, May 14. We've reached our fourth segment. Started out with football and Dan Kehoe, class of 2013. Then we had our three captains for the 2020 women's volleyball team, Madison Lee, Olivia Noonan, and Andy Bender, followed by a very quick segment with our equestrian head coach, Chelsea Francis, who was riding a horse. And now we go to our sailing head coach, John Ingalls, in Little Compton, Rhode Island. John, how are you?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Just messing with
you
you, man.
were
Wow.
messing with me, man. You knew I figured it out. And I'm like, wait a minute, press this button, press that button.
Well, I know we had some technical difficulties last week, so I figured I'd just give you a little bit of a heart failure and act like you couldn't hear me, but just mouthing and not saying anything. So, yes, I'm here. Glad to be here again.
Thank you, John. It lets me know that I'm awake and alive when I can say,
It looks like you have a 10 now.
Hey, if you can, keep your camera so that you can see yourself in that screen. That way our viewers can also see our wonderful Coach Ingalls.
Right, but I'm getting text messages from the team saying to please turn the camera the other way so that anything would be better than seeing me.
They don't want to see you? Is that what they're doing? Boy, they're harsh.
Well, I think they're a little angry with me. The members that are here, they were working hard all morning over at Fort Adams, taking masks down on our larks. We did the FJs earlier, a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and we're back at it today. So I wasn't there. They were doing it without me, so I'm sure they're thrilled to see me.
Yeah. They wanted to see you in person, didn't they?
Yeah, they definitely did. Yeah.
Well, the conversation that we had last week was wonderful, and as soon as it ended, I realized we were muted the entire segment on the streaming end. We could hear each other, but it led for me to develop a new system. Okay, mute the guest. If I can't hear the guest, that means I've got to unmute the guest. Usually when I've had the issues with the stream being muted is because I'm hearing the guest and the guest is hearing me and we're having a conversation, only to realize that the streaming software has us muted so nobody else hears us but ourselves. So thank you. That experience last week finally led to a new system. And then you gave me a heart attack with the mouthing of no words.
Well, that's too bad. I thought it was a fun conversation.
Well, part of that conversation last week, we ended with you saying, "Hey, Fort Adams will be open." You know, the quarantine has been somewhat lifted in terms of we're able to get out of the house. We're able to go to different parks. My wife and I went to Beavertail last Sunday, which was Mother's Day, and we walked around there. It was blowing like you wouldn't believe, and I'm sure you've experienced it out on the water as a sailor, but we're both thinking there's no way there's any boats out on this water right now with the wind that was happening on Sunday. Were you out?
Yeah, pretty good assessment. The breeze was gusting up into the upper 40s, mid 40s, upper 40s. Just blowing 25 for the lulls. And typically, even in college sailing, we'll go out when it's pretty breezy for the championships, but they'll push it, 25, maybe some gusts above 25, but that's about it. It's a little dangerous, actually, and you get up into the 30s and 40s, and especially with the water temperature so cold as it is right now, it's unsafe. So we just don't do it. I know I was planning on getting out over the weekend, and then Monday, and then Tuesday, and then Wednesday, and it wasn't possible. Even yesterday, over in Little Compton, Secana Point, I think the waves were probably 8 feet, and I don't know, the gusts were in the mid 30s, and just a little too windy to get out. So we went today, though. It was a fun day today, a little less breeze.
So it's calm down a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember when I said, I've had some experience out on my friends Hobie Cat and Sunfish and whatnot, but I made it sound like my wife is certainly the more experienced. She is the more experienced sailor than I am. However, when I told her what I said to you, she goes, "I don't know how to sail. There's no way. I shouldn't be out there." I mean, she's sailed with her uncle. She's been to Cuddy Hunk. But all she remembers is that he did all the sailing and she was along for the ride.
Well, we're going to get her out there along with you as soon as we can.
We shall. And certainly this past Sunday, we made the trip to Fort Adams. I think we went to Fort Adams first. No, we might have gone Ocean Drive first. And surprisingly, the barricades are still out there on Ocean Drive. No parking is allowed. But we did pull into the parking lot at Fort Adams. There were plenty of visitors there who had parked their cars and were walking around the grounds. I remember when your team's sailing headquarters were at the point. When did that transition back to the closer location within Fort Adams?
I guess it's been a couple of years now. I'm not exactly sure what was going on. The state owns the property, and they were working with the festival production people who put on the jazz festival, the folk festival, and they needed space. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but we moved back to the original building. So there's some negatives in that when we're sailing out by the bridge, it's a little bit further of a sail to get out to our race course, but it's still pleasant. The positives are we're in a heated building, and we have better plumbing, and our assets are all right there. So it's I think overall it's a net gain. It is beautiful out at the point, and that building's beautiful in the fall. The other issue is that we can sail inside in the spring, which is safer. And the open bay, Narragansett Bay, is pretty rough. You wouldn't have wanted to have been out there any day this week so far. It's just been too rough and too breezy. So where we're located now in Breton Cove, it's a little more protected, and you can actually sail in there during these crazy breezy days like we've been getting for the past 4 or 5 days.
And as you've described in past segments, you've got the benefit of having varied practice areas within the Fort Adams area as far as the conditions that you want to train for.
Yes, we have quite a variety. We can be out in the bay where it's fairly steady and we can get some pretty big waves. Not too many college venues have that type of venue, but some do. And so it's great that we can practice for that. And then we can come more towards Breton Cove or more towards Hammersmith Farm and get into a little more shifty conditions in flatter water. And then we can get right up into Breton Cove where it's downright crazy. And you never know what you're going to get for breeze and direction and shifts and velocity. And that's more like the Charles River. So we can get some good practice for going up to compete in Boston.
John, you graduate several Seahawks on this Sunday. It's official. They are going to be having commencement exercises. It's a virtual commencement. So they are going to be off and on their way. Talk about what it's like to have the sailing experience as a college student and what doors that opens for them in the business world.
Well, before I get to that, I have done everything I can within my every possible string I could pull to make sure they don't graduate. So college sailing has given all the sailors another semester of eligibility. So that would be great if they didn't graduate.
That is nice. So it's very much like the NCAA has done for the sports under its governance. College sailing has done the same?
Yes, absolutely. Really doesn't do us any good because you can imagine nobody's going to hang around for another semester of college sailing. Frankly, I can't imagine people hanging around for any semester of any sport when they're graduating and looking at a professional, unless they're going to pursue their sport maybe. But the doors that sailing, it's quite an amazing community. You can imagine, well, some people are aware that sailing is, in some cases, it's an expensive sport, and the people that do it are fairly well connected. They're a lot of business owners, a lot of doctors and lawyers that have their own businesses, and so it's quite a nice connection for our Salve sailors to be involved with other sailors, and it does bring us together. So it's a great connection. I've seen people get hired because they were sailors. Right. I've introduced some of our sailors to people that I know that are sailors that have businesses and help them get employment. And it does make a big difference. It's a great connection to have. It's also a great activity that you can do with your employers or employees. It's
team
not
building.
It's not uncommon. So it's a phenomenal sport. I feel that way, obviously, but it just is one of those things you can do your whole life, and really has a lot of benefits socially as well.
How have you stayed in contact with? You've coached for a number of years. How have you stayed in contact with your groups now as it grows of alumni and have them come back and continue with their support of the program?
We've actually got some of the alums organizing our alumni regattas and sending out flyers and letting everybody know how our team's doing and what our needs are. We're always looking for donations, you can imagine, huh?
Oh, yeah.
So, and, it's pretty nice. I see a lot of them on the race courses. So I've sailed with Michael Komar, Tori Pellegrini, Pat Clancy. Those are some of the bigger names, some of our more successful sailors. But, I run into everybody. It's just amazing. Most of them still sail, and we bump into each other on the race courses. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and you'll be adding to that group with this year's class, including Alice and Gilson. A number of them joined us on our Zoom with the Seahawks on Monday evening. President Kelly Armstrong was on hand, as was Athletic Director Jody Moradian. We got to meet with the Seahawks, see them in their own settings from all of our sports. And what I did was put up the class of 2020 image that was shot of them when they were freshmen on Labor Day. So in Labor Day 2016, we shared it on the screen and said, "Hey, Seahawks, go find yourselves." Within that shot, in many of them struggled. Like, where was I on that day? I can't see myself. But we didn't have the option of zooming into the photo. Unfortunately, I mean, I may have, but I didn't know how to control it. But the very next day, I emailed it out to the entire class and said, "Here's that photo that we looked at last night. Go ahead and find yourself and others in it too." So
wow.
I remember seeing Alexa Purcell in the Zoom meeting and could see that they were having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, Alexa's awesome. So she's still around. She's from the Virgin Islands, And I was speaking with her when we were moving some boats. She's always been a big help, a phenomenal sailor, but always lending a hand no matter what. She had her dry suit on and was going in the water. Nobody else did, and to get the boats on the dolly so we could get them out of the water and up onto the racks for storage. But yeah, she's amazing. We always sort of hang together because we're both more comfortable in the warm weather. So.
Oh yeah.
But she's the first one to don her dry suit to jump in the water, and even though you're not getting wet, it's still darn cold. So hats off to her.
Well, as Kelly and Jody wish them congratulations, and I want to extend through you also congratulations to your sailors that are graduating on Sunday. We're having our awards ceremony tomorrow evening. After I finish this segment with you in Seahawk Talk, I'll jump into producing the awards video. I'm not sure how long it's going to be in terms of the duration of the ceremony, but
Yes.
We've got a lot of material that I want to edit and get into it, and hope we can have all of our 20 varsity sports tune in tomorrow at 7 p.m. and watch it on YouTube.
I'll be looking forward to that. Yeah. And you're always very generous with the sailing videos. We get a big kick out of it.
Yeah, this past year, George Corrigan, our photographer, student photographer, he's only a sophomore. He was able to get down there, and he loved adding to his portfolio with his still camera. But I gave him the video camera as well and said, hey, please shoot some video as well when you get over there. I don't know if you remember him. He's a tall dude, so...
I remember him, yeah.
Yeah, so he picked up some good photos for us and some good video footage for us.
Yeah, that's great. I know I don't think we had any crashes and burns on that day, but it's always fun for people to see these boats wiping out, people going flying through the air and splashing in the water. I'm sure the sailors don't appreciate it, but it's hysterical to watch. So maybe we'll see some of that.
Well, thank you for joining us today on Seahawk Talk, and go join your sailors down at the boatyard and help bring those boats in.
All right, Ed. Great to see you as always. Take care.
Thanks, John. That's John Ingalls, South Virginia University sailing head coach. For the Seahawks, we had Dan Kehoe from our football team and baseball. We had Olivia Noonan, Andy Bender, and Madison Lee. And we also had a brief segment with Chelsea Francis, and then finished off with John Ingalls. Join us tomorrow as we have our winter sports, Frozen Friday, on Seahawk Talk. Stay safe and keep your distance.